Hi. I know on my channel I always do crafty things, but I did say in my description I do have rants once in a while. And I feel like a rant is coming on. So, excuse my language. I might cuss a lot in this one because it's just something that really annoys me. And I was watching something on YouTube recently about Kat Von D, and honestly, I thought Kat Von D was Italian, and I thought she spoke Italian, but she's actually Latina or Hispanic or whatever, Chicano. I don't even know what you would call her. She's Argentinian. I don't think you call Argentinians Chicanos. It's so confusing. But anyways, so she was speaking like really broken Spanish, and then it kind of got me interested, like what her background was. So I found out what her background was. But the YouTube comments, people were just kind of bashing her because she was supposedly born in Mexico, but she came here when she was 4, and she's lived in SoCal ever since. So I mean, she doesn't speak Spanish very well. It's pretty crappy, like mine. But you know, I just want to address something that I've kind of dealt with all my life living in a border city and being of Mexican Spanish descent myself. A little background on myself. My great 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 my great great grandma, my abuela Paulita, she came here to the United States in 1912. She walked across the border, and that's when my lineage of family of Americans were born. That was like, 4 generations ago. So with every generation, in my family at least, it seems that there's just less and less Spanish spoken to their kids and taught. Obviously, my grandma Paulita, she spoke Spanish to my great grandma, and my great grandma only spoke Spanish to my grandma. But of course, around that time when my grandma was growing up in the 30s and the 40s, they made the kids speak English in school and everything. So my grandma speaks English, but her first language was Spanish. And when she got married and she had her kids, she would speak to my aunts and my uncles in Spanish, but they would answer in English. So that at that point, I can see that it was getting less. And of course, back then in those days, I'm sure there was a lot of prejudice and racism against speaking Spanish in all white schools. It was very frowned upon. So, I mean, possibly my aunts and uncles didn't bother to learn just because of who they hung with. They didn't speak Spanish. They were all like white kids from middle class neighborhoods up here in El Paso. But so then it came to my mom and me when I was born, and me and my brother. She never spoke Spanish to us. My father, who is a fair-skinned Mexican man, I'm sure he has Spanish blood too because he's very fair-skinned. He had like ashy blonde hair and he had green eyes. His first language was Spanish, and my grandma and my grandpa, they only spoke Spanish. Well, my grandpa spoke a little bit of English, but mostly it was Spanish. And not even him really bothered to ever teach us Spanish. He always spoke to me in English, sometimes here and there a Spanish phrase, but so I grew up without being, and I've been called this, like, I have a cara de nopal. I'm so Mexican looking. Why don't this Mexican looking chick, not speak Spanish? And I've just given you the reasons why. It started with my grandparents. They stopped heavily, and they didn't speak it too much in the house. It became something that you just understood, but never really spoke back to in Spanish. You just replied in English. And then, of course, with my mom, nobody spoke Spanish to me. My grandma would tell me things in Spanish, and I kind of slowly learned things in there. Like, she would tell me, "Mija, do you want me to serve you?" She would tell me in Spanish. And I'd be like, "Okay, grandma, I want food. Serve me papa." Just little things like that. But, I mean, no one ever taught me Spanish. And growing up, I became so... I resisted it. I resisted it so much because I hated the fact that everybody assumed because I was dark, not too dark, but because of the color of my skin and because of the way I looked very ethnic, that I must speak Spanish. Oh, I must, But I mean, that's not the case. A lot of people, especially people who are, third, fourth, second generation um, Hispanic people or Mexican descent or whatever descent you are that's Latino or whatever, we don't speak Spanish. And obviously I know now I'm done resisting it. So I'm actually trying to learn more because as an adult, I understand that being bilingual is very crucial to trying to find a job, especially here in the border. You cannot get a job if you don't speak Spanish. All the well-paying jobs, you have to be bilingual. They won't take you if you are the best, have the best credentials, the degrees. No, if you are not bilingual, you will not get the job. And many times it's happened to me. I mean, I can't apply for jobs because I'm not fully bilingual. Now, does that mean I don't understand Spanish? No, I understand it pretty well. Um, things dealing with cooking, shopping, certain topics, I can hold a conversation very well. Now, when it starts to being an informal type of conversation, that's when I start stumbling my words and I stop being able to complete full sentences, especially with things like present, like my tenses. I have a lot of problems with my tenses in Spanish. So at some point, it becomes Spanglish, and then I just have to speak English. But it's just something that really bothers me, And I don't know, maybe other minorities get, or other cultures have this. Maybe you're you're of Italian descent and you don't speak Italian, maybe you just understand it. Same thing with me. You always answered your parents or grandparents in English and they spoke to you in Italian. And I don't know, do you get backlash like that because you don't speak that language even though you are of that culture? I don't know. This is what I identify with because living where I live, it's basically just a lot of Hispanic people, Mexican Americans, some whites. There's not too many black people. There's a very, very small Asian community here. Korean more, there's a lot of Koreans here. But I mean, the groups are just very, very tiny little pockets throughout the city. But yeah, and I don't understand why people are always bashing. I mean, it's possible to be of Mexican descent and not speak Spanish because it was never spoke of in the home. And then, of course, you go to school, you read and write in English, you're taught in English, your friends speak to you in English, you go home and you watch TV, you listen to music in English, you converse with other people that aren't Hispanic, they speak English to you. So you have this environment. If you're not taught in the home Spanish, it's not something important that's spoken to you, so that way you absorb it. Yes, you're going to be a dark-skinned Mexican-looking person, and you don't speak Spanish. I was on, and not that it hurt my feelings, it's just one of those things where I'm like, really? I was in the El Paso Fashion Week back in October of 2014, and I was asked by this guy that goes on the station. He's one of the TV personalities. He's like, hey, do you want to? He texted me one day out of the blue. He's like, hey, do you want to go on TV tomorrow for Univision? And I was like, ooh, well, Univision is the Spanish channel. And I was like, hey, I really appreciate it, but I don't speak Spanish, at least in that topic. And of course, I would never go on TV stumbling with really terrible Spanglish in front of these anchors and people who speak perfect Spanish. No way in hell. So I told him, I don't speak Spanish, so I don't think I would be of any use to you. And he goes, no, that's fine. We'll translate for you. Okay. So, I got my ass up at 4 a.m. to be there by 6. And, I'm there. People are speaking to me in Spanish. That's cool. But I answer in English. And then, when the interview starts, they're talking. I understand everything they're saying. And then, the questions get asked to me and I answer in English and the anchor translates it real quick. It would have been a waste of our time and airtime for me to be stumbling trying to answer these questions in Spanish and then for him having to correct me and then retranslate if I completely botched up a sentence. So that's why I only spoke English. It would have been a waste of time it would have been a waste of time of everybody's time. So that's why I did what I did. And then I did the interview or whatever and went home. And then my mom messages me or calls me a few days after, and she's like, did you hear what those people are saying about you? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you should go to their Facebook page, their Nuvision. Go to the Facebook page and look under the picture. She's like, there's people talking about you. So I go and I'm like, well, what could they possibly say? And then, somebody, of course, had to mention, this chick, with the cara de nopal, she doesn't speak Spanish. What the hell's wrong with her? Blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like, really? I think being in the Hispanic community, you get the most hate from your own people if you don't speak Spanish. Well, dude, I'm a fourth generation American. Spanish in the home left about 2 generations ago. I only speak English. I'm an American. I choose to speak English. For many years, like I said before, I resisted it because I hated being stereotyped that, oh, you're brown and you look Mexican and you live in El Paso, you must speak Spanish. And then when people find out I really don't speak Spanish, they're like, no, calm the fuck down. Seriously. Like I said, I am trying to learn Spanish now, but it's really hard for me to even absorb and retain those words because it is still not spoken. And not in my home, not in my mother's home. Who can I speak Spanish with? People I don't live with. So it's a constant thing of me trying to practice this language where it's not spoken in the home. I cannot, it's hard. It's hard to, people are like, oh, well, learn Spanish. Okay, I'll learn an entire language tomorrow. Let me get Rosetta Stone. $400. I'll learn it by tomorrow. No, it's going to take years for me to become fluent in Spanish. Like I said, I'm not completely ignorant to the language. I understand it. Learning a language starts with understanding. I understand it pretty well. It's just some things I still don't understand, especially proper use of words and other proper nouns and things like that, because here in the border, people speak a lot of really bad slang Spanish. Like, it's really bad. It's not proper. And that's what I want to learn. It's ridiculous. The amount of stereotypical just hate on our own people, by our own people, it's the strangest thing. Just this thing is just something that it gets on my nerves. You can be of Mexican descent, but I was born and raised here in Texas, in the United States. 4th generation American. I'm sorry, I don't fucking speak 100% Spanish to please you. So that way you can talk to me in Spanish to please you. I am not here to please you. I am here to please me and my family. And I'll learn fucking Spanish when I'm good and ready, when I need to get that job, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to be, trying to make strangers happy because I'm so Mexican looking. Oh, by the way, my great-great-grandmother was 100% Mayan Indian. So I don't know what the fuck that makes me, but apparently I look, Indian as fuck. I don't know. But that's just the way I talk. Don't hate on people for not speaking their language. It more than likely is not their fault. It's just not spoken in the home. And then we all speak English through school and work and our friends. Not all of our friends are going to be of the same culture. We have black friends, we have Asian friends, we have friends that were Lebanese and all kinds of different languages. What do we have in common? We all speak English. What are we going to speak? We're all going to fucking speak English. So everyone needs to chill out because it's not the end of the world when a Mexican-looking person does not speak Spanish. We live in America where we speak English first and then we'll figure out whatever the hell we need to speak next if that's not the language that you speak. But it's just something that really bothers me. It even bothers my grandma, who is this little Mexican old lady. She hates it when she goes to a restaurant or a store and they address her in Spanish first. Why? Why? Because I look Hispanic? I look Mexican? What? This is the United States. I speak English first, and then you answer me in Spanish if I don't speak English. Back to you. That's how my grandma is. She's very proud to speak English, and she's very proud to be American. All that other shit comes second and third to her. How dare someone address her in Spanish first because she looks like she might speak Spanish? That's, that's how my grandma is. I've, personally just like, you know what? We live in a border city. It happens. But for someone to completely trip that you don't speak their language because you look like them is utterly retarded. You know what I mean? It's so stupid, and it's something that I've had to deal with my entire life, and I'm sure other people that are like me have probably dealt with it too, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Even though when we try our best to learn, it's still not something that is spoken in my home and my mother's home. So it's very hard for me to practice it 100% on a daily basis. So, I mean, that's just something that I wanted to rant about because it's just so ridiculous. But, all right. So I've said my piece. You could say whatever you want to me. I really don't care. But I just had to say it and tell the internet. All right. Well, thank you for watching. I'll have another craft video out next week. I have a package in that I have to pick up tomorrow for this Chanel hula hoop beach bag that I'm trying to recreate. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.